Health and Human Services Board agenda, September 12th, 1:30 PM. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bless you.
Which one are you allergic to?
I don't know.
Christine or Mary?
Right,
Probably me.
Somebody brought a bunch of pollen in here.
this meeting, it's only once a month, good thing.
Yeah, that was at the threshing show yesterday.
Yeah, he brought
Well,
some.
good afternoon, Health and Human Services. First thing we have is to review the minutes from the last meeting. Anyone have anything to add, subtract, or change from the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Health and Human Services minutes from August 8th.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Review and approval of the agenda. Anyone have anything to add or change on the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to, we had an oversight, so we missed one of our new staff. I'd like to add Kai Sin to our number, let's see, how many staff do we have here? So to be number 4 on our staff list. So I'll be introducing her this morning.
Okay,
And also for, under the regular agenda, the addition of an item on let's see, under the regular agenda, under 5, under B, maybe either 2 or 3, a retreat request that was not included in the consent agenda for the Child Protection Unit, and that's all.
okay, and that'll go on the regular
Chair,
agenda.
was that consent agenda?
That's regular because it was omitted, so they're gonna
Okay.
talk a little bit about
Okay,
that.
got it.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve those changes, and just for the record, Jamie, it is afternoon, not morning.
Oh, thank you very much, I appreciate
I
that.
want to let you know.
I didn't even notice that.
Motion made to accept the agenda. There a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Review of the consent agenda. Anyone have anything to change, remove, or add to the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then we've got the regular agenda, staffing announcement.
Yes, thank you. Board, I'd like to introduce to you, and if Kelly Steffens would please stand up. She's our new employee. She's an eligibility specialist with our ECHO, or Economic Engagement Coordination Operations Team. She started on August 22nd. She lives in Monticello, and we're very happy to have Kelly with us. She's had a great career in the past, and we look forward to having her with her new career with us.
Hello, Kelly, welcome.
Okay.
Hi. Just kind of figured who was talking to me.
We all talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
He just speaks for us.
Mr.
So-
Chair? Oh,
Go
no.
ahead.
Sometimes.
Nope.
Mark,
No.
take it away, Mark.
No, go ahead.
Just curious where you came from.
Came from Owatonna,
Okay,
Steele County,
okay.
but now I live in Wright County in Monticello.
Yes, that's great.
Did you work for the county down there?
No, I did not. I worked for Metro Sales.
Okay,
I supported 6 branch offices.
Ah,
nice.
well, welcome to the team.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the team and to Wright County.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Next, we have Ranjana Patak, and she is one of our new, in the position of Health Promotion Coordinator, and she is one of our new AmeriCorps staff. And did you want any more information about the AmeriCorps project, or you remember that initiative that we started? And so we have 2 new representatives today from AmeriCorps. So Ranjana is our first one, and she is on our Health Promotion and Protection team, and she started on August 29th. So we're very happy to have this opportunity to have people from AmeriCorps working for us, I think, for the next 11 months, Ranjana? Is that right? Next 11 months. So very excited to get this underway.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Now, do you have to work with John?
No, my
Oh, good, good, good.
I should say, she reports to Kelsey, so not John.
Do you live in the area?
yes, in Otsego.
Okay, nice. So you're in the right county.
Yes.
Wonderful. I stole your thunder.
No, that's fine. Somebody's got to learn to do it anyway.
There'll probably be others.
We also have, thank you, Ranjana, we also have with us
Welcome.
Sophie Sarstaff. She's our Health Promotion Coordinator and our Health Promotion and Protection Team. She started on the same day, August 29th, and she's also from the AmeriCorps program. So welcome.
Wonderful.
Welcome, Sophie.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. You don't have to work with John either then?
No, he is my supervisor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you live in the right county or do you live somewhere else?
No, I guess I live in the wrong county. I am living in Carver County right now, in Laconia.
Okay, well, that's not too far.
Well, we appreciate AmeriCorps working with us.
Yes.
It's been has been a wonderful and going to be, continue to be a wonderful partnership.
Yeah.
We look forward to it. Thanks, Sophie. And then the fourth person we added on to our agenda is Kai Sin. She's our Health Promotion Coordinator. She does also report to John. She started with us on September 6th, and she also does not live in Wright County, but she can tell you that herself.
Welcome.
So where do you live?
I live far away in Ramsey County.
In Ramsey County. Oh, you got a long drive. Now, are you an AmeriCorps volunteer? No? So you're a real employee?
Yes. She's a permanent employee.
Well, these other two could become real,
Right.
real permanent employees too.
And I'll just say that Kai-Sin shared with me when I met with her last Thursday, I think, that she just moved to Minnesota for this position. And when she looked at the map, she thought, well, how big can Minnesota be? So when she looked at Maplewood, she thought that, of course, isn't too far from Buffalo. So she got an apartment in Maplewood. So I don't know how long her lease is for, but in any event, she does have a bit of a drive.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll move closer.
Or until my lease is over.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you, Kai.
All right, next Employee of the Month for October.
Yes, I'd like to ask Emily Anderson to meet me up at the podium. I need my glasses.
For a lengthy acceptance speech.
This one is longer than usual, I'll tell you that already. Well, not the acceptance speech, but
Well, we don't know how long the acceptance speech will be.
Oh,
so board, thank you for having us. This is Emily Anderson. She's our October Employee of the Month. And this is, so you know, this is how long it is. I do review these all the time, and often I will take out redundant things, but this one was spot on the entire time. So our October Employee of the Month is Emily Anderson. Emily's a social worker too, and strategic planning and training lead in licensing and therapeutic services team. She started in Wright County in August of 2020. She develops, tracks, streamlines, and presents training for social services. Emily collects and analyzes data specific to child and family services and aging and disability services. So she goes across both Jill's and Michelle's area to highlight trends and areas of success, as well as opportunities for improvement. She takes the lead on various projects related to the strategic planning across HHS divisions. Emily's nominator states, although I don't get to work alongside Emily very often, whenever I do, I'm always amazed at the number of programs and projects she's involved in. Every interaction I've had with Emily has been exceptional. She does an incredible job of keeping many different programs, projects, groups going, keeping open communication, and creating documents that are both valuable and visually appealing. The thought and effort that Emily puts into her work always shows. Emily leads with compassion and keeps clear communication open. Emily serves the employees of HHS, and every single person that starts at Wright County going forward will be impacted by the mentor-mentee program Emily is spearheading. So that's a new program that we're doing in-house, as a mentor-mentee program. Although I've only worked with Emily on internal projects, the impact she is making to this organization will last forever. I can't imagine starting as a new employee and getting put with someone with Emily's excitement, work ethic, and clear communication. She also arranged for a safety training that benefited every person who attended. I'm hopeful and excited about what projects, trainings, programs she continues to bring to this agency. Emily's professionalism is apparent in the effort she puts into the documents she creates, the meetings she leads. She is always one step ahead, extremely prepared, and ready to hit the ground running with ideas and projects. Emily's enthusiasm is contagious on projects. If I could clone her, I would in a heartbeat. I greatly appreciate the work she does. She exemplifies professionalism by getting HHS staff the necessary resources, setting up necessary trainings, and making sure staff have everything they need to not only do their job, but to do their job at an exceptional level. So thank you, Emily, and congratulations on being our HHS October Employee of the Month. And I'll give this to you. Congratulations. Anything you would like to say to the board?
I guess thank you. I feel like my role is kind of a lot of behind the scenes, so I think being recognized is really nice.
That's fantastic. So
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. thank you
Emily,
for doing
before
the
you run away,
I live in Wright County.
that wasn't what I was going to ask you. But I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
So how long have you worked for the county?
In August, it was 2 years.
2020.
Oh,
she said.
did you said that? Oh, I
Yep.
didn't hear
So
that.
this is actually, I think, the first social worker 2 position that we posted. After the board approved a social worker 2 level, we only had social worker 1s, I think, at the time. We had social worker 1s and 3s. So Emily was our first foray into the social worker 2, and then she's, as the nominator states here, does a lot of our strategic planning, works closely with Jill and Michelle, does a lot of training. She's going to also be working, and my understanding is with administration on their new onboarding program that they're going to be looking at, because she does a great job with onboarding our staff. So I'm willing to share her a little bit.
That's wonderful. I mean, after 2 years and you've accomplished so much.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to come back in 5 years.
Yeah, she has. We keep her very busy. So.
I'll have to come back in 5 years and see how you really are doing. Maybe you got Jamie's position by then.
I don't know.
Maybe 5 years, that sounds about right.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Next, we have under social services, public health, financial services, debt write-off.
Well, good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Shelley Stadco, and Amy asked me to get the numbers put together and told me Thursday last week that I had to actually come up and present. So I'm blaming this on her. So I'm here to present the Health and Human Services debt write-off information for 2020 and 2021. We normally do this on a yearly basis, but with COVID, apparently it got missed. So I'm here now. The 3 revenue and debt coordinators pursue collection of all debts owed to Health and Human Services. There are circumstances that necessitate review of these debts for write-off. And HHS has an approved policy that is followed for county owed debts. The HHS criteria are included on the bottom of each of those printouts that you have on the summaries. For debts that are established for financial services such as medical assistance and food support overpayments, we are required to follow the DHS policy when writing those debts off. You'll notice on those printouts, the largest item written off in each of these years and traditionally is always for out-of-home placement. Previous policy was to charge a family full cost for these services when they were non-cooperative. We have since changed that policy to be charging only 50% of the full cost when they aren't cooperative. And if they do cooperate, we are now using the DHS fee schedule, which results in very minimal fees or 0 fees at all to those parents. And another thing of note, during COVID, there was an executive order by the governor that hampered our ability to garnish any wages for any of these debts that needed to be collected. So for the last 2 years, we have been probably behind in collecting just due to that circumstance. And that's all I had, but I was told right before the meeting that Mike had lots of questions. So I'm prepared.
Well, thank you for coming up. And I had met with Jamie earlier and went over the report, and those were the 2 that stood out to me. And I think I'll just connect with you if you're the resident expert at another time, just to look over what's the criteria for when they do or they don't pay, basically and we can look at that. But
Okay.
Would you say then if there's a change in governor or some other political office that some of these rules could change from the top down?
For the financial services, potentially the medical assistance and food support, but I think those other debt write-offs are our internal policies, which I believe also could change with a new ERP.
Oh, okay.
And just to kind of jump on that, I think typically we don't see from one administration to another changes at this level. However, there was maybe 5 or 6 years ago when we used to do collections on people that were getting medical assistance. There was a change in the medical assistance statute that we no longer can collect on people that were getting, was it
Well, if you're talking about a state collection, that is different than this.
Well, it was kind of a big deal at the time, and it was people that were getting a certain program that we were told we can no longer collect on, and that was one of our bigger programs. But that probably now is maybe even 8 years ago, so maybe,
That's not ringing any bells.
okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Deland.
how much of this money is county dollars and how much of it is state or federal? Or is this all, because there's a variety in here, isn't there?
There is a variety. So when you look at your printout, when you look at the collection category down to approximately number 65, those are all programs that are provided by the state. So you're looking at GAMC, food support, medical assistance, MFIP. So that's going to be a combination of mostly state dollars. We do get an incentive on some of those, but most of it is going to go back to the state. The rest of them, out-of-home placement, CD services, spend downs, those are all county dollars. That's money that's being spent by us that we're trying to collect.
Out of curiosity, and this can be for future boards, so I won't be around, but I'm just wondering if you wouldn't want to break it down total-wise, or subtotal, just, at 65,
Oh, for,
total county money, and then, the total of the full amount. Just,
And if you're
Kinda gives
interested
you
in
an
that, we
idea.
can forward that to you after this meeting, send you what the total would be.
I mean, I can add it up.
Okay.
My calculator still works.
And on those other
Yeah,
ones, the ones
discuss.
that are the state programs, we collect them and we keep a portion of them, depending on the program. We might keep 15% or 20, 25% because of the effort we do, but then the rest of the funds goes to the state to offset the cost for the program.
But typically, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
we're kind
Commissioner.
of seeing this in the past. I mean, out-of-home placement is usually the largest one that's uncollectible. I mean, I guess hence where they're going, odds are they're probably not ever going to come back and make, but the cost is per day.
Right.
our biggest collection on out-of-home placement currently is child income, which would be adoption subsidy, social security benefits. We can collect that back, but as far as parental fee is concerned, that is really difficult.
Using that new state fee schedule, which most counties use, your income range has to be fairly significant before it impacts the family.
And just because I'm guessing too, there's limitations on what you can take from Social Security on some of those as well, because you can only take so much.
No, you
No?
can take all of it up to the amount of assistance paid. So,
Okay.
some children are getting $1,000 a month in benefits, and we can take all of that.
Wow. So,
As long as they're still in.
As long as they remain in placement. yes.
okay, say because if they're out, then that's
Not forever.
because that would be say counterproductive to what the
Yes.
money was for. They'd be like, oh, that would do you a whole lot of
We
good.
let the children keep their income once they go home again.
Yeah, okay. I have to say, otherwise, I don't know that really does you any.
Right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
haven't in the past, we've had a lot of burials that were not recovered? It seems like we are paying a lot more back in,
In county
Previous
burials, I believe now the policy is we are not even trying to collect on anything county burial
okay,
required. So there's probably not going to be any write-offs on that.
okay.
I believe that the supervisors that approve those are in financial services, and they are really scrutinizing them and making sure that those people are eligible and don't have any assets to collect.
So maybe for a future board meeting, if you're interested, we could bring back the county burial program, just to see, because those are all county dollars,
Right.
to see how it's being spent, and it's kind of just an interesting area anyhow. And
It
like
is.
how that gets handled within the county, so we can bring that back in if you'd like to hear about that later this year.
I would, and I was recently approached by one of the funeral directors in the county who claimed that the fees that we reimburse for haven't changed in many, many years.
That would be accurate. I think since I've been here, either between my two roles as the or the financial services manager and as the director, so 15 years, I think we've updated them once.
So I don't know where we have to take a look at that, but he, of course, like everything, costs have gone up. And so we're asking those folks to keep doing that same service that, you know, whether it's cremation or traditional burial, all the costs that went up since then. Where do we look to adjust those rates? I was waiting for an email. I didn't get it back because I just talked to him, but he was gonna give me a breakdown, which you folks would have.
Sure.
But he would have the actual costs to match up with what they're being
And
reimbursed.
he could be invited to come to the meeting where this is presented as well. I think the last time we did send out something, we had a number of funeral directors that came to the
Oh.
meeting. Again, a number of years ago, probably before anybody was on the board at this
Yeah.
point.
I don't.
Oh, that's a good idea. We'll
Right.
connect before the next one. And
Okay,
thanks again. I'll look you up because I'm interested in when I'm hearing a little bit about this discretion on, you know, these folks are cooperative, so we're not going to, and these folks aren't, so we're gonna do this to them. I'm kind of wondering about what else that applies to, but we'll talk again,
Certainly.
Shelley, okay?
Absolutely, and for the
All right.
record, I live in Wright County.
it's like a self-disclosure
Just
before
barely.
anyone
Hey.
talks anymore.
Is everybody scared about that or something?
Stand up.
I
and
don't
live
care if
in
you
my
don't live in the right county.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
It's only about 3.5
It's
months.
for their benefit to live in the right
3.5
county.
months.
Okay, you care for them.
Then we won't worry about it.
Do we, Mr. Chair, do we need a motion on this, on these?
To accept that?
Okay.
All right.
And she just did the one?
We'd like a motion for both years, 2020 and 2021, to accept the debt write-off as presented by Shelley.
I'll make, go ahead, I'll second it.
All right, so
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And we have a request to cancel the 9/26/2022 HHS board meeting.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And Jamie had another item.
Right, we have
Retreat.
the request for child protection retreat, which failed to get on your agenda. We had it submitted just like minutes after the deadline. This retreat is scheduled for Friday, October 7th at Nye Park. And I think if you have any questions, Michelle Miller would be the one to answer them regarding the retreat. I believe staff work on the retreat agenda themselves, and so what we've been doing over the past several years is bringing retreat requests to the county, or to the HHS board as part of our consent agenda.
Who's lunch from? Just in case I'm in the area.
Usually they do a potluck.
Oh, okay. I think I'm booked then.
And
for
as
lunch.
always, for
Yeah.
all four of these retreats, the board is always invited to drop in at any of the retreats that meet your schedule.
Right
they're
around,
being
right around
economical and they're
noon.
having ramen.
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make
On
that
that?
motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion made and seconded for the retreat. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I had a question slightly out of order, but Jamie did it, so I can do it. The middle retreat on the list, I looked through the agenda on that and I saw a 79-minute video. And if you look at it, it's, there's no narrative and no insight given, and you watch it, and it looked like, well, situations that you probably wouldn't run across in Wright County, I'll say. And I told Jamie I might bring this up. Is there someone that could weigh in on the benefit to Wright County by looking at, see what seems like far-reaching situations with kids in
Sure.
Wright County?
So I mentioned it to Michelle. She's not familiar with this particular documentary, and Jessica Nelson isn't here today, the supervisor of this area. I wonder if Emily, Emily, do you have any familiarity with this? The name of the document is, it's called Babies, but it's about just kind of the cultural my understanding actually from Commissioner Ketchmark is that it's about the prevalent culture that a child is born into and how that might impact their young adult or young childhood, and how that maybe relates to how our staff interact with that child. So I believe what the goal would be in this situation, and it is almost an hour and a half, but to be watching it together and for just that, the impact of seeing how culture relating to where a child is born into and how that impacts their life. And so our social workers are aware of the different things that they're looking at when they're assessing a family, whether it's child protection, children's mental health, or even they're not at this particular retreat, but public health as well, who works with home visiting programs. That's about as much information as I have right now.
Amy, I did message Jessica. She said staff brought it forward. They knew about it. So it's a documentary, kind of what Jamie said about differences about how babies are raised around the world. And they are looking at it for an activity related to cultural diversity, and then they'll be discussing it as a team.
Okay, and for the board and anyone that didn't see it, you have two kids playing in the mud or in a hut, and then you have a newborn being driven home on a motorcycle, and these are just things that I've never ran across or heard of in Wright County, so I'm kind of wondering if there's more things specific to here that you talk about too, or I guess it's going to be engaging for the whole group, and hopefully we don't have to have some of these, what I would call extreme cases for child care and needs in Wright County, because that's what it looked like to me. But so I just wanted to get some insight there, because that's what it was.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I guess it's becoming more and more relevant, especially because, at least in my area, there's a lot of people, even just in my direct neighborhood, that are English as second language, and they definitely, I wouldn't say, I hate to use the word values, but what they value is different than maybe the traditional values that you or I may have grown up with, in terms of maybe they value more interaction with their kids versus having a green lawn. And there's things like that your and I perception may have a negative perception that we have to kind of change that differently, because they don't think that having a super well-kept clean house is as important as it is that they maybe spend more time playing puzzles with their kids and reading to their kids. And it's trying to retrain the brain to be able to look at it from a different lens.
Yeah, I mean, we have, we come from different cultures, and it's just nice to have an understanding of what different cultures are, meet up.
The demographics are changing in Wright County.
Well, we can certainly come back after this activity and see how it fared, if it was something that had meaning or not. So I guess, we do and learn, and then regroup after, so.
All right, thank you. And next, administration director's comments.
Thanks, and I'm going to be calling on a few partners to help me out here. So Sarah would like to give you an update on our alcohol and tobacco compliance check. Did I mention this, Sarah?
No.
Oh,
No.
I was one of those compliant alcohol checks.
well, we conducted some alcohol and
They tried to
tobacco
grab me
checks.
and get me to sell to a minor, but I passed.
So in general, I believe our tobacco checks went well, and our alcohol checks did not go very well.
Hey, I will vouch that you guys had a pretty convincing member there in the way that they side of it. So I was a close call for me.
I'm
We're
guessing
so
you might
glad
have had a
you fell on the right
volunteer.
side.
What?
Did you know did you know who the volunteer was?
No, but I was actually working when they.
Oh, you were
I actually
working.
got the compliance check.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So
Thank you, Commissioner Vest. I thought maybe one of your children volunteered to be one of
no,
the. Okay.
it was one of those ones where I was like, going to, no, let me see that ID, and then he's like, good, I don't have one. So all right, now see, then I knew right there, and then I was getting a compliance check because no other minor comes up and asks for a beer and says I don't have one.
Yeah.
Not that I saw the minors, but
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you weren't one of our fails. That would be embarrassing. So, congratulations for being a success.
How many failures did you have?
5 tobacco, which we do the bulk of the tobacco compliance. Only, there's like 2 compliances in Howard Lake and Annandale, maybe each, and then, a good handful in Buffalo, but all of the rest, because the sheriff's office is our partner,
all of the rest of those tobacco compliance checks fall to the county. And we have an MOU with the auditor's office on both the licensing and also how we work with the compliance checks, as well as or I guess maybe it's not the auditor's office anymore, I apologize, would be taxpayer services, and then sheriff's office. And then similar with tobacco, similar mode with alcohol, although the license is held with the city, so we let the city know of violations. And John's looking that up for me. But, as I think we mentioned, at least with the safe school meetings, as they go out to tobacco licensed facilities, they are checking for other products at this point now. There is no licensing requirement for edibles, but they're sort of seeing what's in the landscape in the businesses that they go to, especially those tobacco shops, which those really should be 21 and over facilities. They can let children in, but they're not allowed to sell to anyone under 21 now for tobacco products either. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Witter.
Does this include the
vaping.
Vaping, yes.
Yeah, so when they do compliance checks, they're also doing an assessment of what kind of products they're seeing and where they're placed. And yes, vaping products are part of that assessment. Okay. And then, they're looking to kind of get an eye for if there's a concern about a product that shouldn't be there, because right now only edibles are allowed, and now that the Delta 8 is no longer allowed. It was sort of in a loophole, but now it's not. But then there's this other edibles. It's quite a changing landscape. We have Sheriff Ride Along, so they help.
That's 5 out of about how many? Just
under 100. Yeah.
Under 100. Oh.
Yeah. I think that's a very good rate.
That's not very bad.
Don't know what we have for alcohol.
So when you guys do the tobacco compliance, do you have somebody go in and do a vaping one too? Or do you always try and
They get a variety of products. They usually try to purchase what's maybe popular.
Oh, okay.
So, and then it is returned, obviously, if they have a successful buy. So, just to be clear.
I was just curious if you did it on the vape products too, or if it's just strictly tobacco.
Oh, no, all those vaping products are considered tobacco-related products. Even the ones, the way the state law was written, even the ones, like there's those vitamin vapes and stuff. The vaping itself, I don't know why you would vape your vitamins. But that was a conversation pre-COVID. But even those, the delivery device itself is considered a tobacco-related product. So the device should be regulated.
You can go buy it, no, but they don't compliance check Nicorette gum, though.
They don't?
Well, thanks for the update, Sarah. So can you shed light at the end of the transaction, let's say? Do you or does a deputy, whoever's with you, trot back into the business right away and tell them a failure, or is this done correspondence another way?
No, they go right back in right away.
Okay.
And let them know that there was a failure. And it's usually the staff and the deputy, or the deputy, they kind of play it by ear based on the facility and what experience they had. So.
Mr. Chair, you never had to write out those big $700 fines on the selling to a minor?
No, I was never in on those
For alcohol.
those little sting operations.
Stings.
I was on the random
And-
woods parties and that kind of stuff.
And we often notify that we're going to be coming through, and we do get a grant from, actually, I think it comes from Homeland Security, doesn't it?
For alcohol?
No, for tobacco.
We used to get the education.
Yeah, it was an education-only check. So even if there was a sale, because of the funding stream for the staff time on the checks, we would just go in immediately and then educate the salesperson and let the facility know that, hey, you had a failure, et cetera, but you aren't subject to a fine. Basically, you got lucky this time, and get your stuff figured out. Most of our larger businesses, like our chains, right? If you've ever seen or checked out at Quick Trip for something, or Holiday, Super America, all of those, which is Speedway. All of those Casey's, they all have pre-programmed systems that are all updated, and it really, if we see a fail at that is a purpose. Somebody overrode their system.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Newsom.
So Sarah, yeah, they must have a way to swipe their cards because I was in Holiday last night and the guy in front of me, he whipped out his ID first and I didn't even hear what he asked for. I was back far enough and, but he bought a pack of Marlboros and the clerk took his ID and scanned it or whatever, so, yeah. So they've really come up in the world. They don't have to sit and look at the.
Yes, yeah, they'll scan the ID, although we have heard, at least in the alcohol world, that there are some IDs now that they can order that can even
Override that?
override the scanners, so.
It'd be
That's a
pretty
disappointment.
motivated to
Figure
do
it out.
that, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, so those are the expensive ones they buy online, but we don't encourage that, so.
Oh, keep up the good work, Sarah.
Thank you.
How many of the alcohol? I don't think you did answer.
I was looking for an old email on that, and it's sticking in my brain, it's either 12 or 14 alcohol violations for the year, which is
That's a lot.
significantly higher. We don't know what's going on there, but Rachel, our health promotion coordinator, has an excellent working relationship with the vendors and the retailers in the county. Now she's gonna offer alcohol sales training to all the establishments in Wright County to educate them so this doesn't happen again.
So I'm assuming you're doing both on and off sales.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
that was my
Mr.
question. So
Rich.
you are, when sampling that, because obviously there's a greater risk for somebody going into an off sale, because walking out with a case of beer is a far greater thing than somebody buying one can of beer on an on sale. And that's where, you know, fine's linear for those of you that know, but I'm not a legislator, so I can't change that. But the other side of my question with that is are you sampling? Because you can buy 3-2 beer at any of your gas stations. Are you guys doing alcohol compliance checks in the gas stations? Is it a lottery where you choose? I'm just curious.
I think it's usually, yeah, I wouldn't say it's quite a lottery, but it's sort of like we'll try to cover different areas of the county, you know, as we go, based on staff's time and availability. We have done some specific trainings, and then it depends on law enforcement. I know, for instance, we got some really nice feedback from Chief Stanisford in Annandale. He had at least one facility that he was having, I think, some concerns about. So we may, and then Rachel was able to do specific education and training for that facility, and he felt like they really responded to that, and he was less concerned about what was happening with sales there, so.
And Mr. Chair, they're not all receptive to having our public health come in and do training. I mean, I'm not saying a lot of them, but say, oh no, we do our own training, so, and that's part of it too.
Yeah.
But probably mostly with those corporate areas, I would imagine.
That's true, and then, you know, it really depends on the licensing entity, so some cities have required it. Delano has a special ordinance that they require plans for their alcohol licensees, and then they send it to us in the sheriff's office to review, but they were providing outside training through a different vendor and have since switched to the county providing that training through the city.
Oh, good.
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Most
Commissioner
most
Rich.
establishments that have dram shop insurance related to serving alcohol, in order to get a discount, you end up having to get 75% of your people to train, to go through their training that your insurance company facilitates. So there's, largely, that's a lot of the bigger ones that most of them are doing it for the insurance discount. So.
Yeah. We try to make it as accessible as possible, so we've often offered it free. Rachel also does them for a lot of our community events. I think she had over, her and Jill at the time had over 70-some folks for Friendly Days. They trained before, they offer trainings through most of the large community events that have alcohol sales. So those are your community members who don't usually sell alcohol, and, you know, tell them all sorts of good tricks for that.
Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Witter.
So how many facilities sell liquor? You guess.
In Wright County?
Yeah,
It's just a little over 100,
okay.
somewhere in that ballpark.
So you check like on
All of them get
like the Cubs and the
Golf
Walmarts,
courses,
golf courses,
Off
restaurants.
sale and gas station, 100 is,
Oh my
no,
gosh.
there's more
I
than
don't think
that.
that's the right
Gas
number, that might be the
stations.
tobacco number.
I bet we're like at 115, something like that.
For tobacco or for, really?
Alcohol.
I would think it'd be more than that.
But some, we don't have jurisdiction over the cities.
Oh,
So we just do the townships, the county establishments. So Annandale Howard Lake and Buffalo do their own establishment.
If they have their own police force.
Oh, okay,
So it's, yeah, all,
interesting.
And so all of the city of Buffalo, they handle internally.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Two more items. One is that, well, I would say we received notice of the first opioid settlement, but I don't think we actually got it. I think we actually got, Lindsay found this that another county received. So the date of the notice was last week. It's official communication from the National Opioid Settlements, and it gives a rundown, I think you have it in your packet, of which each of the counties is receiving, and Wright County is right around $121,000. It's, I believe it's we have until September 29th to dispute it, and then there are 50 days to distribute it. So that's the time frame for our first payment on the opioid settlement. Then lastly, I'm going to again call on one of my managers. Jill has done a nice job working with Max. I just thought it would be great for her to share with you the position statement that she's presenting. She is a new, help me out here, Jill, a new co-lead for the statewide adult.
Well, I think what you're referencing is co-chair of the Adult Services Committee for MAXA.
Yeah, so it's kind of a big deal board. It's far-reaching. I would say they fairly hand-selected. Jill requested her assistance with this team, as she seems like she's very well-read, and she's done a nice job with this. She also got some nice affirming comments about this proposal that she put forward that she'd like to share with you.
Sure. Hello, commissioners. As you know, of our role as as HHS managers, we have a broad-reaching scope of our work. And one thing that we really like to do is keep an eye on what legislative changes are coming our way. The more we're informed and aware, the more agile we can be and the more proactive we can be to changing our current processes to know what's coming. We also have the opportunity through MAXA and other venues that we can actually be part of writing legislative proposals and statements that we would hopefully be able to have some say in upcoming legislative opportunities. So that is something that I have done here. I'm going to go ahead and pass this out to you. This is just one example. Obviously, we have many position statements that will be coming through MAXA. This one will be vetted out basically in the Adult Services Committee first for feedback and ideas, and then once it's kind of more solidified, it'll go to MAXA larger body for voting, and then onto the legislature. I've also emailed the relevant DHS players because this particular one has to do with licensing statute. So I wanted the folks from DHS, both disability services and adult services on aging, as well as licensing, because that's three different umbrellas at the state level. And as you know, people don't always talk real clearly to one another. So I invited each one of those umbrella folks at DHS to come to our next meeting. And hopefully we'll be able to get their support and their feedback. And if we can do this collaboratively with DHS, it would have a lot more better chance of getting through the legislature. So this has no action on your part. This is just informational, not only just for an issue that's coming about and that we're having a presence in, but also just for you to be more aware of. We as management for HHS, we have a daily presence in our operations and how they're taking place here, literally what's happening in our building, but all the way through to how can we be part of the proactive macro lens of making change for our programs before legislation goes into effect. So I'll pass these out quickly.
Our other manager that serves on a statewide committee is Kim Johnson, is on the self-sufficiency committee. So serves a same type of role that Jill does in a different committee. So we're well represented at the state level.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
So this particular legislative statement has, like I said, has to do with licensing. This year, this is actually a position that I had written and submitted through MAXA years ago, and actually one of my staff in licensing did as well, and it has never gotten any traction. This year, we actually do have a scenario where a license holder had a home, one of their corporate homes, that is facing revocation. And if that home is revoked, right now, the way the statute is set up, it's that any other licenses that that license holder has would also have to be revoked. So this is a license holder who has many corporate homes under their identified license. So if this one home who wasn't following standards gets revoked, which is probably potentially appropriate,
that means all these other homes that have been following statute also are gonna be at risk, because the way the statute is currently written, it goes by the license holder and the controlling individual. So if the corporate head honcho license has problems, it impacts everyone. So what that has created, and as you guys who have been around for a while know, I used to be the licensing supervisor, that has been a problem for years. So getting DHS to take a licensing action against a corporate home is very hard. So even if a corporate home is really struggling and it's appropriate, by doing so, it has all these other implications. So this is legislative proposal trying to get that language fixed so that people can just be responsible for each
Just to
individual site.
disconnect that line from the holder to all of the placements.
Right, so that would be by site versus license holder.
Well, Mr. Chair, 'cause
Yes, Commissioner Rich.
if you have one bad site manager, I mean,
You got it.
now you empower them to be bad because they're not as likely to want to take action on you because the system can't afford to lose all of their locations.
Yep.
But
So if you read the legislative proposal, I write in there some pieces about the ethical dilemma that places DHS licensing and county licensing in. So anyways, this is just one example. There's many, many others out there, but we just thought we would take the opportunity to really share with the board all the different things that we kind of have our fingers in and are keeping an eye on. And it's very, like I said, from beginning to where can we get ahead of the ship and really be way in advance and change legislation and be part of that proactive macro process, all the way down to the really being involved by the case-by-case level. So just wanted you to be aware.
Thanks, Jill. Commissioner Lyden.
I'm glad, Jill, that you and the others are involved. You guys are in the trenches. You know what's happening. You know what's going on, where at the state level, they normally don't have an idea. So you can be by providing that information, the state can be a lot more efficient by listening to you guys, except for John.
So the one thing I will share is we're across the board. I would say I can only speak to my area. I'm sure that all of these other managers could give examples in their areas too, but we're really striving, and that's kind of a goal, to try to have more collaboration with DHS. So I'm also on the county state work group, which is really, again, adult services primarily focused. And that's another work group that's trying to align ourselves together to be walking more hand in hand. And now I know Jamie presented to you, and I think I presented to you a few months ago about all the different changes with adult protection statute that are coming. And because there's such a paradigm shift going on there, we also have an adult protection partnership that I'm on. That is also DHS and county driven. So on a couple different fronts, we're trying to be proactive on how do we do exactly that? How do we make those partnerships actually be partnerships versus check the box we told the county and make it actually be a dialogue?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for that hard work.
Yep. And for you new people, it is Pick on John Day, but it's only today. So after today, you have to be nice to him, just so you're aware of that.
So you have 2 hours left.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I live in Buffalo, I live in the right county.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll laugh it up. You only got 3 more months.
maybe that should be our parting gift, is a big stack of bumper stickers that says I live in the right county.
Oh, I like it. Yep. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone have anything else? With that, we're adjourned at 2:18. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.